advisor of mine, one sentence tops. And I really had to work hard to keep it to basically 3 sentences. It was the farthest I could go. But you notice most of the pitches you get in your connection requests are 3 to 5 paragraphs with a ton of links. I ignore all of those. But I think these short but sweet, and I usually include one link just so there's some visual in the email, and that's it. It'll pull a thumbnail. That's it. And so this is, again, how I've landed about 5 clients through this, but that's reaching out to maybe 600 people in my connections that are target job titles and employers that I'm looking for through account-based sales, right? But if it's the right time, they'll reach out. If it resonates, it sees that it's somewhat customized, great. If I usually add their name and a custom title these are just to first degrees. So I'm not even using the premium package with InMails. I find InMails to be intrusive and annoying. I didn't get any response when I did my trial 8 years ago. So I've been on the free account ever since, and I've been very happy with that. And up at the top, you can see Tyson Braun got promoted to associate director at SEO Clarity, and I know him. So I send a quick say congrats, and I typically customize the congrats so they know I didn't hit just a button. I actually had to write something. So it usually says, congrats, Tyson, exclamation point. And I usually change the punctuation, maybe add a sentence in. It's a lot more personal, because if you do that every year at their anniversary or whatever, you can see there are people that hit you up once a year the last 6 years to say happy anniversary. And you think that's pretty impressive, but it's really not, because that's all they're doing is, working through the status updates or notification section. So I would suggest reaching out to your targets in your network once or twice a year. Keep those messages short. Try to provide value. So when I'm reaching out to somebody that I know, I'm gonna, instead of just saying, "Hey, it's me," I'll typically say, "Have you seen this article?" Or "Here's our latest news," or a webinar you might be interested in. So there's some basic reciprocity going on, some fair exchange of value, right? And then monitor and engage in groups and events. So LinkedIn just added an events capability, and I recently set that up, and I just realized I'm supposed to be live streaming this on LinkedIn, but it's so new, I just thought I'd test it out. So I'll set that up for the next event and test out the LinkedIn live stream. And you can obviously identify who the influencers are and monitor and follow them, engage them. Hashtags are relatively new, the last 6 months or so. They've been pushing hard the last 2 to 3 months. Every time you post now, they tell you only have so many engagements or reach. You should promote this more, add more hashtags. So they're pushing hashtags really hard now. So again, groups, events are great locations or opportunities to meet and network virtually and safely from a distance. And make sure you get out there through your networking. So this is a great way to engage and expand and build your network up. And then in terms of securing a dream job, a few ideas here. I have some resource links in the next slide, some articles I've written over the years. And I also tend to follow companies and employees, or I recommend that you follow companies and employees specifically if you're looking to track certain people, influencers, or which companies are hiring. I have in the past, even though I'm not looking, I have sent opportunities to my friends in my network that are looking, and I see a job that looks like a good fit. And it's always good to be able to help people out like that. Take the skills assessment quiz. You can see in the bottom left kind of what that looks like. So you can get a badge for a specific skill like QuickBooks or Excel, and they have a bunch of different, mostly technology, mostly platforms. And then there are a bunch of, in the job section, you can set up different searches by location, set up alerts, apply for jobs. It definitely tracks everything. And so it's a pretty powerful platform for that. So you kind of, a little bit of business intelligence and monitoring, a little bit of outreach, a little bit of submitting, etc. So these are some of the fundamentals, but I wrote an article on how to know when you've found your dream job, and then how to secure your dream job. Those are all articles in the section. Actually, one more after this. But for those of you looking for reemployment or that next thing, or just looking to build your business if it's been dramatically impacted, or like us, we're holding steady, but we still want and need more work, is make sure that you're building your resume around your work experience, including non-career related content, again, interests, volunteer work, etc. For those of you in starting your career, I always recommend starting in pro bono work and nonprofit work and trade association work to network and show what you can do. In my industry, that might be the American Marketing Association, Portland Advertising Federation, SEMPDX, or maybe it's your local church or your sports team of choice back when that was a thing. And then you can expand to your friends and family, get things going by connecting with friends and family first, to build your network, and then offer to do free work for them if you're, again, starting out or changing careers, just to build a portfolio and have something more to share. We are constantly building a bench at Anvil, and we'll get resumes with people with no relevant experience, and I don't even know why they bother. So what I would do is send a resume and say, I'm sure I'm experienced here, but here's my work samples to show that I am learning on my dime, making an effort. And I have, because at Anvil, I hire based on talent and passion, not completely on experience and knowledge. But when I have people with knowledge and experience versus somebody that doesn't, it's really hard to go with the person that doesn't, even if they have a can-do attitude. But again, you can always freelance. I'm always intrigued by people that freelance for more than a year by choice and then decide I want to go back into the agency world in our case, because I know they're probably less likely to leave again because they've been there, done that. A lot of people think they can, after working at Anvil or another company, I got it, I got this, I can do it, and it's really hard. And then you lose good talent, and then they struggle. Emails are the new cover letters. So again, I think it's antiquated to think that I really am annoyed when people send me two PDFs, one of a resume and one of a cover, when they could just have their cover in the email itself. Some people, that's just my preference. Other people may love cover letters, but I want the customized thought. But a PDF is just one more thing I have to save and look at versus just read the email, look at the embedded links, and then look at the resume and or, if necessary, a portfolio. Now, in terms of as you're networking in this COVID-friendly environment, in person has always the default. You can see face-to-face, really gauge somebody both directions. If this is the right employer and the right company, face-to-face, visiting the office, there's no real substitute for that. Knowing that that's not likely or anytime soon for many people, then I would look at video conferencing so you can at least see the nonverbals, and just the backgrounds tell you a lot about people. Where they live, how they live, do they take care of things? It's not whether they have a nice house per se, it's how they take care of themselves in their environment, right? You still need to dress up. And then phone call, if you can't do a video conference, email if you can't do that, and then chat and text if all else fails. So that's the hierarchy, starting with most ideal to least ideal. I don't know how many interviews have been done over chat or text or email, but that initial email should be to secure a call or a web conference, video conference, and then work to an in-person when the timing is right. But again, my view, and I've written an article on this, is networking should be about creating value and exchanging value. So no matter how you're networking, through LinkedIn, directly, over email, Skype, you name it, Zoom, what you should be providing value. So for instance, if I'm interviewing somebody, they can provide value to me by showing they did homework and ask smart questions. And maybe they pointed something out about a competitor, asking a smart question about the industry, where they think it's going or where I think it's going. There's value to that to help me assess if they're a good fit, or I might refer them to another employer that may be a better fit. But just in general, as you build your network, how can you help the people that you think can help you? I always try and build as many chits as I can and not call them in. So I'm all about helping others because I'm in a fortunate place where I can do that. But there's a fine line between being persistent and confident and not cocky and annoying, right? So you got to know the difference between when the right frequency is and the right tone. So having done physical mindshare events for 15 years, I met a lot of people that I found where they looked desperate instead of persistent. They were annoying instead of engaging. And I think that really cools jets. So confident and persistent. But if you're going to be persistent, add value with each check-in, not, hey, where's my job that you owe me? Where's that guy you were going to introduce me to? Some people, where's that? So if I said I would introduce you to people, you better to have taken notes and tell me what we were talking about and how we can best do that, right? Make it easy for me to network you out to the right people. And then differentiate yourself. Be a writer, be a talker, podcast speaking, be creative, be unusual, right? So my boy crush is Ryan Reynolds, originally a Vancouver, BC native, and he's revolutionized the advertising industry with his work with Aviation Gin and his new venture, Mint Mobile. The advertising does is low budget, high visibility, high engagement, tons of free PR from the approach he takes. Very clever. And so his creativity is probably worth 10 to 100x ad budget from a less creative ad agency or less creative brand. So you can do that for yourself. The more clever you are, the more affordably you can network. So just kind of wrapping up with some resources here. And depending on the questions, we might go on a quick tour. But these are some links that will be in the PDF version of this that we'll share in the next couple of days through PDX Mindshare and through Anvil. And then a couple extra slides just to remind you that part of being a thought leader, LinkedIn is not the only platform out there, but if you're going to go through all the trouble to create really good content on LinkedIn, original blog posts, sharing great articles and content, networking like crazy, you might as well syndicate that content out on other platforms. So I syndicate all my LinkedIn content to Twitter. Twitter is not my primary platform anymore. They switched about 2 to 3 years ago. I'm over Twitter officially, but it's still a platform to be on and shouting out on and being present, ideally even engaging on. So professionally, I syndicate LinkedIn to Twitter. Personally, I syndicate Instagram to Facebook, and Facebook is locked down. Instagram is public, so I'm careful about what I put on there. And occasionally, if it's business related, I'll syndicate Instagram to Twitter as well. If you're taking great videos or photography, you can upload those images to LinkedIn or Twitter. And you can obviously put them up on videos on YouTube. You can put your podcasts on YouTube. There are a lot of different ways to syndicate your expert content. So for instance, I blog regularly for SEM PDX, for digital marketing. I also will write for Smart Brief and Portland Business Journal. And then I also will create original content on LinkedIn and occasionally even on Anvil's blog. But you can start with LinkedIn if you don't have a blog. You don't need to buy a domain and have a separate blog. You can just start on LinkedIn. That content's content. So no matter what link you're sending me, I just want to see how you write and if it's engaging, if it's good. And you can also podcast relatively cheaply. Certain platforms are free for low exposure, low usage. And you can even do it with something as simple as your phone or your laptop and a headset like I'm wearing right now, just earbuds. In fact, we're turning this recording into a podcast as well. We are doing an audio and a transcript of this to just show you that's 3 form factors from one recording. So I use Hootsuite to syndicate my content to Twitter and LinkedIn. I can also syndicate to Instagram. And then you can see the kind of content that I might syndicate would be a podcast on the right, podcast for closers, which I'm taping again this afternoon with my co-host. And you can find us on Libsyn podcast for closers. And then when I do occasionally write for the blog, you can see them on Anvil. But typically, I spend most of my time writing for other publications while the Anvil team writes for the Anvil blog. So we have consistent, good content there. And then in terms of building your following up, there are a lot of different ways to do that. There's a whole article dedicated to this, but look at, identify and engage with influencers, follow those who follow you, following back if that makes sense, but don't do too much bootstrapping there. Hashtags, engage in conversation, using @ signs. I advise against buying followers, but you can boost some posts. It's all about sharing timely, relevant information, really, and getting in front of the right people. So we have our next Mindshare event coming up June 3rd. Virtual workshop is how to become an industry thought leader. It's the natural progression of this is really part 1, is LinkedIn. And I gave teasers onto part 2 on how to become a thought leader. And we'll talk more about that. And you can register on Eventbrite for that. And then on the 10th, a week later, I'm doing an Anvil Lunch and Learn on how to create a podcast for your brand. So that's part 2B or part 3, if you were. If you are interested in podcasts, not really sure how it works, I walk you through the entire podcast roadmap. So that's how that works. So I'm happy to answer questions again on this version of the document. You can click through on the Mindshare link. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can post events or jobs for free. Oh, and I think this thing, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's do this. Maybe you can see it now. There we go. All good. So that's the LinkedIn group. So you can click on that to go to the LinkedIn group if you don't want to Google it or look it up on LinkedIn. And then you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's a link to my profile. And then visit the Anvil's Insights section for more information on digital marketing. And then I have a general business category in our articles that cover topics like this. And then we have an event section so you can see what other events are coming up outside of Mindshare as well. And if you have questions, you can email me. So with that said, let's take a quick look at a couple things. So we'll wrap this up with a quick tour. So this is my profile on LinkedIn. You can see I'm at over 500 connections. You can see the services that we provide. And that's just kind of a laundry list, not all encompassing. I am not doing the recruiter thing, so I'm going to delete that. I made sure my information is public. You can hide it. I don't know why you would do that. You can edit in your profile and other information up on the upper right. And you can see here, update your contact info. Oh, looks like I need to do that. And so I always look through these things. I think this stuff's all good. Personally, I don't really need to do most of that, but here is the first person bio. Don't make it too long. Don't make it too short. Include notable accomplishments, awards, recognition, other credentials that help you understand. It's basically your most visible bio that you've ever done. This is the automatic feed from your, oh yeah, the polls, that's brand new. So there are new things like polling just started. So you can see here, you can add a poll, and I mentioned earlier, you can, what do you think of the new polls feature? So I created this in about 2 minutes, and there are only 13 votes, but you can see people need to check it out. They weren't even aware. So I posted this a week ago, minutes after the announcement came out. That's generally the whole idea. When you look at your network, you can see again here, I'm at almost 18,900. You can see here, these are some of the people. These all share my school. They all went to Western. And I scroll down here, and it might be location or profession. Director of member engagement, that sounds interesting, but I'm pretty much a guy looking for VP of marketing types, right? And so you can just by simply connecting, I'm going to try and find one that's of interest. I don't know, this Sam, it's sometimes helpful to see what he's in Phoenix and Boost. Yeah, so his profile is lame because he only says digital marketing. He should say more than that, but I would potentially connect with him. So anyway, I can just simply, here's a co-founder. I know Chris Bright. We go way back, actually. So that's all it was. It just hit go, pending, right? And then when I go into my network, I can do a search for people and then bring up the custom filter. And then I can search for first degree connections that have a specific title, right? Director of marketing. And then I don't care where they are. And these are all the people that I am connected to, and I could reach out to them, right? And there are over, looks like 1,000 pages, 1,000 contacts, right? So it just goes on and on, right? So that's a lot of contacts I could be reaching out to. So that's how you use your network. With your jobs section, again, I'm not as expert on this, but you can find jobs, save them, you can apply for jobs, set alerts, you can do salary research, you can do the interview prep, which I highly recommend. But these are jobs that they think I'm potentially a good fit for. Many of these I would say I'm not. And then messaging. So these are folks that have reached out to me, and I tend to like to make sure I've read them all. So make sure that you've read. I've found unread. I've done searches where there was an article, there was a post from 10 years ago, somebody that I missed in my post. So this person reached out to me April 24th. I didn't see it, right? So I'm obsessed with making sure that I have seen these. So that's kind of just a way to make sure you've seen everything. And wow, I haven't seen these. That's interesting. These are just ways to make sure you stay up on things. Again, that one is from 2018. I hadn't seen it. That's the downside of having so many connections. And then the notifications I mentioned, you can, couple things, you can see if somebody got a promotion. So say congrats, University of Medical, congrats. Let's see, it says exclamation point. So I typically say the new role, Andrea. And that's all I felt like adding because I don't even really know who Andrea Bowers is, but that's neither here nor there. And then I can also make sure, oh, somebody wanted to go to and join the PDX Mindshare community. So I will add Dawn here. You can see when we go to members, there are over 11,300 members here. Okay, so a lot of folks. So you can just go into the group, send a request, and once you're in there, you can see what people are posting on, ask questions, all that sort of thing. So it's a fairly active group. You can create your own group, right? So that's the fun part. So that's in a nutshell. Again, here's the profile. Let's just scroll down here for a little bit. Not now. So I showed you the bio, I showed you the feed. Here's some of the dashboards, views, appearances, etc. Some of the activities. So this is these are some of the shares that I've had. Here's my job description. You can see they'll get thinner and thinner with each job. Here's my Mindshare. So I include an article and a link to the Mindshare post. You can have up to 2 links per. So again, there's a lot of different roles here, and most of them have links to the websites. This one, that's interesting because that site is not active anymore. Education, certifications, volunteer experience, skills and endorsements. You can see again here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them with 99 or more endorsements. That gives me some credibility. Not sure sponsored search. Okay, cool. You can see there's technologies, tools, other categories. Then there are all the recommendations. So I've received 94, given 79. The different accomplishments that you can fill out. You just hit the add button and add in. I was, quoted in a book, so I added that, and the interests. So in general, that's a nutshell what a professional profile should look like. Wrapping up here, just make sure you head to PDX Mindshare and check out our social profiles, our events calendar, and our job board. These are some of the articles and even podcasts. The business-related articles may be of interest to you in terms of career-oriented content that is mostly out on LinkedIn. So here's an example of one here about, I watched the Dolomite Is My Name, and I wrote an article on how Dolomite, the actor played by Eddie Murphy, Rudy Ray Moore, was very much like Steve Jobs, and why. So I was inspired when I watched that. So you can see, and you can always check your stats. This doesn't have a ton of visibility, right? But 4 reactions out of the 66 articles, you can see who they are. So you can get some value from that. This is some of the coverage I've generated. That's for the thought leadership side. And then future events where you might be able to find me or other folks from Anvil speaking. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing my. Are there any questions? If anybody wants to jump off mute and shout out a question or use the chat bar on the 3rd down from the top, little chat bar, feel free to ask any questions before we wrap up here. And if not, I'm not offended and we'll get you a copy of this presentation. Any questions? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for taking the time, and we will catch you at one of the next events. Again, we've got June 3rd and June 10th, and I hope to see you at one of those events. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day. Oh yeah, I guess there's a kudos. Thank you, Jim. And we will catch you on the 3rd or the 10th, and stay safe, safe distanced, and good luck in your career work. Hopefully this LinkedIn Insights will help you. Take care.